All right, we are on BJJ Boost Zoom call number 4. We have call 1. We went over the knee shield passing, where Jonathan Thomas talked about using our hip to kill the opponent's knee shield, and from there be able to smash the legs or pass through or step over the shin. From there, episode 2, we went into the wrestle up with Cole Abate, where he basically demonstrated how we wrestle up and finish the takedown. And then episode 3, I don't remember the gentleman's video, like his name, but he did a really good breakdown of like when you're playing the De La Hiva, reverse De La Hiva, on how to break your opponent down and basically get the sweep or chase the back. And the counters and the pros to like why you would do that. Going into episode 4, this is what I can tell you. I hit the wrestle up twice yesterday, right? So initially, I spent the week drilling the wrestling up, finishing the takedown, and I wasn't 100% sure if it would be something that I would hit live rolling. So then yesterday in the morning, I actually was able to do the takedown and I felt good with it. And then last night when training, I hit the takedown and felt really good with it from the wrestle up. And then one time I made a mistake and I basically just ran into Brandon's face, kind of like you and I did, Andrew, that one time, but it wasn't as bad. So it is funny when you're trying to apply new techniques and learn new things. But the one thing I've liked about these calls is it's given me a different area to spend for that week practicing on trying to get good at something differently. So this week, we're going to dive into a video about how to make people carry your weight while passing and the proper way to basically exhaust people. And this is like a passing style I've been working on for the last year. So I'm just curious Tanen's approach on how he's gonna, what I'm gonna be able to take away from it. So hopefully you guys have your notepads. If you just want to follow along, here's a digital notepad. You can follow along on your phone, and it'll kind of still go along the same lines that we're already going on. The second link is our Telegram group, the digital notepad, and then the Telegram group, where if you want, you can post your results after the call, which is awesome. It's nice when people post their results and you can kind of all share and bounce ideas off each other. From the last 3 videos, like what's a couple things that you've taken away and what do you feel like, how has it helped you or how has it not helped you, or what have you learned by doing these calls and then trying to apply it to your game?
And I have to remember the list of things we did specifically too. The first week was passing with the knee slice and backstep, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that week was pretty good. I feel like that helped me with my passing techniques and using the backstep pass a little bit more. One thing that I majorly focused on that was not forcing the knee slice and using the using alternative methods. Week two was that the wrestle up? That was,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Week two.
Yeah. So the week two, the wrestle up. I've had interest with it. I've yet to hit it in a live roll. I think it's useful. I think it's good. I do like it. I like it quite a bit, and I definitely like. I feel so much more fluid with it than I initially did. It's definitely one of those things that the more you do it, the better you'll get. And by the quantity of times that I've just ended up doing it now, I'm definitely better than what I initially liked it. I'm still uncertain in a little bit of the scramble and how it would go. But my goal with that is to hit it in a live roll and see how it feels. But I like it and I think it's useful. I think it's definitely great. Like a competition, last 30 seconds. I think it's literally like perfect for that. So I think it has a great spot. And then last week was De La Hiva stuff and a little bit of reverse De La Hiva, but predominantly De La Hiva guard stuff. I think it was all great. It was all great.
What do you
All
think
great.
one detail that you could say that maybe like you've started trying to apply in your game and seeing like just testing the waters with it to see if there's something that can grow from here?
Yeah. So I would go back to week one, honestly. Like I was saying with the passing stuff, I have many times forced a knee cut when I should be forcing the knee cut or just kind of powering through it and using alternative methods, kind of floating between different passes. With quick speed, that's a goal that I'm trying to get to. Um, and I felt like that video kind of aimed towards that, right? And it talked a good amount about that, about not forcing the knee cut, and that was something that I've already been working on for a while. So I felt like that was a good implementation to my game. When it's just something I already know I need to do better on. I know it's something I need to include more on. So yeah, that's pretty much
I
what I'd say.
it's interesting because I'm seeing what I learned in week one. I applied what I learned in week one multiple times yesterday. Like I think
Okay.
even when Michael and I were rolling yesterday, I played a little bit of it. There's two or three live rounds yesterday where I was playing where I'm forcing my hip to kind of like kill their knee shield and setting up the pass series. So I'm seeing myself hitting that. I'm seeing myself in week one hitting stuff live rolling now. And then in week two, I'm slowly seeing things I'm starting to hit
Mm-hmm.
live rolling now. And then in week three, I haven't even got into like catching the second leg to try to off balance the opponent's posture while doing the reverse Delahiva or Delahiva. So I'm seeing things start to take place in week two and three, and week one really be like an opening to like my mind of where I need to start looking for those things. So let's dive into Michael. Like Michael, in the last 3 weeks, what do you feel like? Is there anything you've taken away from the content, something that you've improved in your game or started working on that you could tell the group that you've enjoyed?
Well, I really liked Kolabate's wrestle up. I've hit that, I don't even know, 30, 40 times. I got pretty good at that. And then you showed me the difference where you did like the baseball slide without standing. And I've had almost 90% success with that. I didn't really get much from week one. I've never been good at that sort of pinning with the chest and, working that position from the knee cut. And obviously I wasn't here last week. But Kolabate, I really like the way he did his wrestle up. The way he collected above and below the knee also helps really prevent the sprawl. Been having a lot of success with that.
All right, what's one thing that you're working on right now to improve in your game?
Well, I have been working on wrestle up since you told me to start focusing on that. If the ankle lock doesn't work, to work into a second option from there. I have been having a lot of success with the one that I wasn't on the call, but I believe it's the same one. The one we were working at Fusion. I've been having success with that one. I think I hit that two or three times in rolling so far, pretty smoothly. I've hit it, but other times, but not as technically correct. So I have been working on that. So
That's funny because I tried to do the wrestle up. I had some success with it, and then I got too confident, and I literally just like switched the wrong arm grip, and I just ran right into Brandon's like hip. Like
oh no.
all I did is like drive my head right into his hip, and I was like, okay, like I got ahead of myself. All right, we have Eric. I don't think we've ever had Eric on the call. He's new to us.
Hello. So I'm training out of Yorkville, Illinois, and I've been training for about 9.5 years, working on stuff all over the board right now. But I have been trying to work on the headquarters stuff that we kind of dialed in and at that seminar last. So I really like the headquarters position and like the flattening of the knees and like a folding pass there. So I found that's been great, and a lot of other guys have been picking up on that too. So haven't really dialed too much into the wrestle up stuff, but definitely going to be implementing that in my game. I feel like I'm just too used to playing guard, and so I need to start wrestling up more.
I'm grateful you're here. Eventually, we need to get everybody on video so we can see everyone. I know that some people don't like that. I'm definitely glad that you took something away from the seminar. I think if you liked that passing style, you'll like the video today. So if we all have the notepads ready, we'll dive into the video. And then, like I said, once we get through the video, we'll give a little bit more time to kind of like finish whatever you need to do with the notepad, discuss what we took away from the video. But I'm pretty excited for the video. Let's get into it.
Use your top position to drain the person's energy from the bottom. This is a topic that I feel like a lot of people sometimes they miss. Maybe something they don't really focus, but it's something that plays plays a huge role into my game, and especially during your training sessions, right? When you're training for a long hour session, when you're doing long rounds of sparring, when you guys are competing for a longer fight in the competition, it all depends on the way how you have been building your game. But this is something that I really try to notice as I'm applying my techniques on top. A lot of times, people will focus on which techniques they should use in order to pass their guard, which techniques they should use on outside passing, on half guard passing, and things like that. But there's a concept right before that you guys need to be paying attention. And that is, how are you using your body weight to drain the person's energy on the bottom, okay? Especially because it's no-gi. I find hard for you to secure your passes in the very beginning when the person is still fresh. It's very slippery, there's no grips. Usually when I'm training in the gi, it makes it a little bit easier for me to applying a high pace on top. The grips help me get closer to my goal, which is to get to the side control, right? The grips really help me. And it's really annoying for the person on bottom, especially when you have good connections on top and you're using good set of grips. Now the no-gi, it's a little bit different because the person on bottom, they're not really scared of this exchange of techniques, right? Combining techniques side to side. I feel what the person on bottom is mostly worried about is how much weight are you really dropping and how are you using your body weight on the top position. Okay, so I will see a lot of times people kind of like, they'll set up one attack, they'll try a knee slide, they'll try to stack the person, and then they quickly release their weight. So I'm gonna do it a few options. I'm gonna show you guys what I'm trying to explain to you, and then I'd like you guys to see the difference between what I'm trying to apply here today and versus what I usually see in training rooms. Okay, so person is gonna be moving, and then they throw in a knee slide. The person bottom frames, and then they back away. All right, same thing could be done out of an exchange. The person stacks, throws to the side, the person bottom is framing, and then they move away. All right, I can go there, I can start trying to stabilize the pass. He starts to frame, and then I'm moving away. You guys see how I do hit the side. I do get to that chest-to-chest position. But because of lack of grips, I'm not able to stabilize the pass. Right? Versus the gi, once I get to that point, I'm able to attach myself to my partner and try to stabilize. I feel this style that I'm showing right now, it really applies into the end of the match. When the person's already tired, you already drained their energy, they're a little bit more fatigued, then it's okay for me to start throwing the legs to the side and kind of like jumping into these techniques. Because during that battle where he has to frame and I have to maintain my position, if I have more energy on the top, I'm able to control the position. I'm able to win that battle. But if it's right in the beginning, I won't be able to get anywhere. And really, to me, if I start from the beginning with this type of pass, I'm not going to get anywhere. And I'm just going to tire myself out. Okay, so there's a change of concept when you're applying your passing. I've seen in this previous ADCC, people using a lot of this, especially the top competitors. And that's the focus for this first week of the training. I want you guys to initiate the first 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, just position yourself on top, making sure that you guys are staying away from leg attacks and things like that. So you're staying in a safe position and dropping your weight at the same time, okay? You're gonna apply that, you're gonna use that for the first 3 or 4 minutes. After you start seeing that the person on bottom is a little more tired and fatigued, then you can start applying your passing, okay? So we're gonna focus right now into a De La Riva position. So usually the person is sitting up. I like to start by handing him my leg and position my foot into a De La Riva position, okay? Rather than keeping my leg on the outside of his feet, I feel like in the no-gi, I'm giving him butterfly hooks. I'm giving him shin to shin. Okay, so back up. So instead of doing that, I keep my foot on the inside, and I'm going to start stepping into the De La Riva position as I use my hand on his shoulder neck and the opposite hand to block his leg right here. Okay, so notice how quickly I put him on his back, and now I can start applying my weight on top of him. One thing that is important is to make sure that I'm dropping my knee on top of his leg and to the De La Riva leg. I'm not allowing him to play the De La Riva hook. I'm actually dropping my knee over his leg and I'm staying on my toes on this side. Okay, so look how I'm actually closing the gap for the De La Riva hook. On the other side, I like to use my C grip to be constantly jumping over this leg. I'm constantly jumping over this leg. Okay, I'm constantly pulling the knee to open up a gap. And really, this hand is making him work with the leg. Okay, so I don't want you guys to just try to get to, like, for example, a head quarter position, try to stay here. You're actually using this arm here to make him work with his leg. So I jump over, I make him push me and recover that leg. Now I pull, I open the knee. Look how I'm trying to embrace. Look how he has to push and start recovering. Then I can start pushing again, dropping weight, and make sure that he's pushing me. But you guys can see how I'm actually not really committing to the pass. I mostly focus on dropping my weight on top of him. Now take a look on this left hand. So this left hand, I'm pushing the De La Riva down, and I'm usually catching his neck on this side. Okay, so when he begins to push me, I try to catch a grip to make him overcommit to that push, to make him spend that extra energy pushing me away. Okay, so by doing that, you guys are starting to tire the person out. I'm dropping weight on him. I'm making sure. Sometimes he brings me to this position again. I push the De La Riva down. I drop my knee over. I grab the head. Okay, I'm staying a nice and strong base. Look how on this side, I'm using my right hand to make him work with the top leg. Okay, you guys can use C grip. I can push this leg away. He recovers that leg. I can scoop the knee. He recovers that leg. And I'm going to keep applying this throughout the whole time. So what I'm going to do here right now is that I'm going to do a little round, maybe 30 seconds, just showing you guys how persistent I'm staying with this while he's defending this position on bottom. Okay. He's going to start either accepting the De La Riva position and really getting tired on the bottom, or he's going to try to switch to reverse De La Riva. So the reverse De La Riva is what we're going to work on next. But I want you guys to first battle with the person on bottom, trying to stay into that regular De La Riva position. Okay? So go right here. So we're starting in this position. You're going to be just framing the feint. I'm going to be just applying weight. You guys see how I was using a lot of body weight on top, making him carry my weight, and always readjusting my De La Riva position. Towards the end, he started to accept and trying to play reverse De La Riva. And that's exactly where I'm going to start recognizing my position on top. I know now for a fact, he does not want to use regular De La Riva. He started to try to push me away and move the hips to the side. So you guys see how he's trying to switch guards to start accepting reverse De La Riva. Okay, which we're going to work on how to tire him out from this position next. One quick detail, especially as I started doing this, I felt when he would move his hips out to the side, I found difficult for me to enter the De La Riva onto the far side. So I'm a person that I like to use the left leg on the front. I can always use left and right, Okay, so if his hips are sideways, I can always kind of switch my approach and step the other leg in the front. So now I can start applying the same thing. But if you guys are not as comfortable switching your base, I use this ankle control to pull his hips back and then give my De La Riva leg again. Okay, so I start to pull his hips back. Now his hips are onto the side that I have my stance. I can always step in. Now I have my good position back on top. Okay, so I was pushing the leg down and jumping over. I was focusing on hugging the thigh when he was trying to push me away. I was controlling the head. I could control the shoulder. But look, all the whole time I was trying to drop weight on him. Okay. Another thing that it's important for you guys to see is that I'm trying to build a stable passing position to make sure it doesn't off balance me and ends up getting into my legs. The big mistake for the person on top here, I feel, is to, try to keep your feet close together, try to squat down, and try to hold on to your partner like this. And what happens is that he's going to start to off balance you. You're going to end up posting your hands above the head, and he's going to be right into one leg X or any type of leg entanglement. I need to really focus on spreading my base so my feet are always spread. And also, I never let him push my chest above his headline position. Okay, so when he's trying to off balance me, I never go here, posting my hands above his head. Because now he's got all the space, and look how he's right in between my legs, which makes it easier for him to start switching to leg attacks, right? Start entering heel hooks, start going for my back. So as I'm spreading my base, I'm keeping my knees pointing in. But when I feel he starts to lift me up too much, my grip that is around his shoulder and neck, I'm using that to pull myself back. Okay, so when he starts to lift me up, look how I'm pulling myself back and I'm dropping my hips heavy on the ground. Okay, when he starts to try to push me, I'm pulling myself close to him. Right, so this left hand plays a huge role on trying to pull yourself close to your partner. If he's trying to push you above you, if he's trying to, like, for example, play underhooks to lift me up, look how I'm constantly trying to push him to the ground, like flattening him out and making sure that I drive my hips back. Keeping my weight on my hips. If you off balance me to the side, it's a quick pose and focus on spreading my weight on top of him. So look how, if you guys are focused on one line, he pushes my weight to the side. I need to quickly bounce back to that same line. Okay, keeping myself on top of him. He pushes to the other side. Look, I don't stay here. Because by staying except in this position, my legs are now light. He can always start to pull my leg into one leg X. So it's a bounce and a back into the same line. He pushes me across. Okay, I'm constantly trying to get a hold of him, either by grabbing the head, grabbing the shoulder, grabbing the leg, but I'm not accepting staying in two separate lines. Okay, I'm constantly driving myself back on top of him. And because it's no-gi, you're going to be trying to find grips, right? Cup the head, cup the shoulder, pin the hand down. Like a lot of times when I get to this position, I really like to circle my hand and pin the hand down. He's going to be fighting just with one arm. Okay, so now look how I'm pinning that hand and he's fighting with one arm. Go. Now he's trying to force me to reverse the leg. Okay, so this is just the first option for you guys on the De La Riva. Again, when he's sitting up, I don't like to play from here. Just kind of be fighting with this distance. I like to put his back on the mat and start right away dropping weight on top of him. So if you guys are into this position, step your leg in. Make sure you're not giving the shin to shin option. Okay, I'm trying to find a gap, so I'm walking around to try to find a gap to step my leg in. Once I step my leg in, I'm putting him on his back. Now we start from this position. Okay, so I can use the hand to pin his arm down. I can cup the head. I can use this arm here to push the leg out of the way. I can pull the knee. I can hug the shoulder. The best thing for you guys to do is really have the person on the bottom working on pushing away from the reverse del Hiva. And you guys on top just noticing the pressure of just your body weight. Just keeping that same line in your mind, where it's you and your partner to the same line. And really just do little rounds like this. You're on top, just dropping weight. The person's on bottom, just trying to push away. They are going to be trying to switch your guard, playing reverse del Hiva, try to push away, try a different scenario. Your goal is to be persistent on top into that del Hiva. Like you're giving him the del Hiva position, but intentionally to use that to wear him down. All right, so this is kind of like the training that I like to do. It's something that I started to implement a lot into my game. And when I noticed that switch of guard, where he stops accepting the del Hiva and now he wants to play reverse del Hiva, that's when I'm succeeding into the top pass. So it's important for you guys to know and keep in mind that succeeding on top, it's not just getting to side control, but it's really winning those small battles on your way there. Okay, so you guys see how I'm slowly increasing my confidence as I see this little battles happening, right? I won the first battle. He doesn't want to play del Hiva anymore. He wants to play reverse del Hiva. I started to play a lot of dropping my way into reverse del Hiva. Now he wants to keep the distance into the guard, right? So I'm slowly kind of winning. I'm slowly getting to where I want to. I'm draining his energy. I'm recognizing that he does not want me to be in the del Hiva. Soon he doesn't want me to be in reverse del Hiva. He wants to push and maybe try to stand up, right? And I want you guys to have that kind of pressure on the top team, right? So that's what we're going to be focused on the next couple weeks, is to really study how to make it hard for the person on the bottom to play guard. Right? You want to be that person that you're really annoying on top and dropping your weight, keeping on top of your partner, and really drain their energy. So when you get to a good position, you collect it and make sure that you're able to not only succeed on getting to side control, but succeed by making the person on the bottom get tired. Okay, so this is going to be the first goal for the del Hiva. The next one we're going to be studying.
I still have my start, stop, sustain, and my declare. So those are the two tabs that I have left. I'm going to finish those up. We'll give, I don't know, roughly 4 more minutes for you guys to do the notepad, and then we'll discuss kind of what we took away from it for the day. All right, so I took 2 different elements away from this. And the thing that I really like about these calls is, like, last week was kind of like a business call. Last week was kind of like we discussed better ways to be more professional and like run the gym and just how to look at like the technical elements of teaching jiu-jitsu, those kind of things. Like it was like a professional call in the beginning. This week, the 2 things I took away were like one for myself, but then one also for my students. What I mean by that, like, is I like the idea of giving my students an area to focus on passing where they're forcing this pass and they're just focusing on people having to carry their weight and then frame back out of it. And for me, it's like I put a lot of work into this passing style, but I don't necessarily know how to make other people learn it right away. Having 3 different games where one is they're sitting up and you're just trying to get them on their back playing is game number 1. And then like game number 2 is now you're forcing that del Hiva and making them carry their weight and they're framing out. And then game 3 is they're playing reverse del Hiva and you're carrying the weight and making them frame out. So like that's what I want to focus on for this week, is carrying that into the classes. And then for myself, like I really just want to focus on whatever the time is, whether it's 3 minutes or 5 minutes. The first half is me not trying to pass and see how much I can exhaust them. And the second half is then me trying to turn up the speed and really trying to complete the pass. I want to play that where I'm very aware of the time of the match, changing those through the middle of that to see how that goes. The other little takeaway was pulling the foot backwards when they're playing del Hiva, coming in, smashing. So not just like killing the foot, but pulling the foot over my hip so that I get in. I do that a little bit now, but I want to focus on that more because a lot of times I just focus on pushing the leg down and stepping over instead of bringing the leg up and bringing myself in. That pretty much is my takeaway from the video, and I will let you take the floor, Andrew.
Alrighty, sounds good. One of the first things I noticed that I'm already well aware of in this position when I've previously been working on it, but just pulling and pushing with that leg to different positions, and especially in no-gi gripping on the back of the neck. I think that's very important to sustain the position. I don't think in gi that's like nearly even anything, right? Like, and then just like Chad was just saying, pulling the foot backwards. I noticed he actually reached with his hand like back at one point to like grab the foot near the toes, which I thought was interesting. And then one of the things I know I need to be doing is just a smoother entry into it, the whole thing altogether. Another thing was a scoop grip on the knee to pull it out. When he pulled that knee out, he like scoop gripped it and then shoved it back and then let it go back in. I'm well aware of that's what I need to do, but in practice, it's definitely hard. When I was going through this video, I was going through the positions in my head. I know the position somewhat. It's like in my own head, I would go through the position and then I would get stuck in different areas. Like I got stuck in multiple different areas, rolling through the position in my head. And then I was like, yeah, I don't know what would happen here. Or like, I think it's likely that I would lose the pressure from this point and they would regard, or like push hard and then regard. I think from those positions, something that would be great where I played it out in my head is to start from some of those or just work through them slowly and then before I do the game, because I was getting stuck on those. And I was like, certain parts I was excelling and I think I would excel and then I would get stuck. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
I also like the one where when they're trying to elevate you, which this is what like Elijah and Tyler and all the guys do is like they get me so high elevated and my head so ahead of theirs that they get into the legs that I need to work more on framing on like their jaw and keeping my hips back so that they don't do that. Like that was one that I really liked for when people are trying to get under you. But who are you going to pick to be next?
Let Elijah go next.
All right. So I had a lot of things from that, but I guess I need to work. I've been working on my daily Hiva passing a little bit since I've been working with Emmanuel. He's been working on daily Hiva. I've been trying to work on daily Hiva passing. So one thing I've realized is I keep my head way too high above his, my chest. So he off balances me forward above him, and then he enters into my legs, and it's not good. So that's something that I need to work on for sure. Is keeping my chest back and making him carry my weight, but not making my weight drive over him, if that makes sense, drive too far forward. So yeah, just really sitting back and dealing with that. I really liked how he was dealing with the other side leg by the pulling it across the hip. That's something I definitely am going to implement into that. Another thing is him using wrist pin passing. Like he was saying how he likes to pin the wrist sometimes. That's something that I found a lot of success with. People tend to panic when they get their wrist pinned to the floor, so they'll panic and try to strip that out. I feel like they use a lot of energy doing that. So that's something that I have been working on recently, but not really from a daily Hiva passing. But that's something I'm going to add in for sure. But yeah, that's what I have.
Those are all good. So I'm glad that you felt like you got some value from watching the video. I really enjoyed watching all these videos so far. So that leaves us. Eric is up. Take it away, Eric.
That was a great video. I got a lot out of that. I noticed that when I'm in that position, a lot of times I'll pin that knee on that same side, and I'll either do like a windshield wiper pass or maybe switch to a knee cut. However, the other leg, I'm usually trying to underhook that and get that up onto my shoulder and stretch their legs away from each other, so that way they can't use their legs in combination together. So it gives me another area. Avenue to go down, whether it's pushing and pulling and pinning that other leg there. So I like that, and I want to try to work that instead of just trying to underhook that leg and getting it up on my shoulder. And then I also liked how he was showing about his weight positioning, about trying to keep your hips back, and not getting too high over the opponent's head there. But one thing I was wondering is if I was picturing myself, if I was in the other position, usually when I'm playing guard, I am attacking straight arm locks. I'm collar tying. I'm pushing, pulling. I'm doing something. My question would be what to do with their grips as they're pulling and pushing and hooking my head and stuff like that that's going on.
Yeah, I agree because I get a lot of people that try to straight arm the crap out of me. Like Andrew Carr will literally rip your arm to pieces if you so like for me when I was watching him club the head like that, that's something that I wasn't I'm not a huge fan. I don't like to club the head a whole lot when I'm into someone's guard. So for me, the one thing I did notice him do was his knee and elbow were pretty much right together. So like when he was clubbing the head, his knee was so deep past the thigh line that his knee and elbow were like almost touching each other, where he could like have that whole, it's kind of like when you're playing guard and you have your knee and elbow together for framing. You're a lot stronger there than when those things are apart. The big takeaway for me was if I'm going to club the head and pull on his head like that, like I'm going to have a really deep, like knee cut down on his thigh so that my whole body is connected together. So it's not just my arms compromised reaching so far out that I am going to get straight arm barred. So for clubbing the head, that's one thing that I'm looking at. If I'm going to club the head, I've got to make sure I have a really good knee elbow framing foundation to hold that together so that you're wanting to push me away more than thinking about being able to like turn it into a straight arm bar, if that makes sense. Besides that, like for me, when I'm doing this passing, it's like C cupping in the biceps, in the armpits, on the chin, everything where my arm is like staying on the inside of your arms and not allowing like that elbow flaring outside where you can possibly hit like a Kimura slash straight arm bar, or even like where you could shave your arm up and then start to create that motion to get that position. I'm constantly like in framing, if that makes sense, for the passing style that I use. So those are the two ways that I would look at it. Does that help at all?
Yeah, I think so. That's some good information there. Just not really extending yourself out too far where you're making yourself susceptible to those arm bars and that. But yeah, it's great stuff.
I'm gonna test it for the week. I'm gonna have all my classes just test. We're gonna do this for the rest of the week, and I think it'll be good for the people on bottom to learn to carry that pressure better. And I think it'll be good for the people on top to learn to make them, because this is like my whole passing style for the last year, and I've had a lot of success with it. So I'm going to spend the week testing it. And then next week, when we come back together, we'll have another call, and it'll be good to just see what people take away from it. That's the whole point of these calls. What I would like for you guys to do is, once again, or in the chat, just post down like what you're going to declare for the week. It doesn't have to recall, it doesn't have to retain to this video, it doesn't have to do anything with passing, but just like one paragraph of what your focus is for the week. So if somebody else might want to write that down, and then just basically what you're going to declare that you're going to try to improve in your jiu-jitsu for this week, and try to get a little bit better. Other than that, I do really appreciate you guys making the time out of your lives to come on the call. I know that the replays are getting a decent like return as far as people like to watch the replays. Just not everyone can make this time, but it'll be good one day when we can get like 12 to 20 participants in here sharing their different side notes and what they think and what they take away, because I think that will be a really awesome experience. I want to say Greg messaged me last week and he was like, when I first started doing these Zoom calls, I wasn't sure like if I was really taking anything away from them, right? Like he said, I watched the videos, I did it, like it was like a second one. He wasn't sure if it was having some type of result. And he said then in class when he was doing it, he said he noticed himself framing when he was playing like open guard, De La Hiva, he was noticing before he would like always let his legs kind of hang out a lot and he was getting smashed. And then he said that one video, he watched him where he put his foot on the hip just to not let the person get in so deep. And he could always kind of like re-guard off that. He said he just naturally started doing that and he instantly, it clicked in his head like, okay, the videos really are giving me something to actually apply to my game. It's, you think about it, you go to a lot of jiu-jitsu gyms and the instructor tells you that this is what you're learning. Okay. You go to any mainstream jiu-jitsu gym and it's like, okay, we're learning arm bars this week or this month. We're learning escaping mount. And all those things are valuable. They're not valuable. They help improve your game, but like when you actually take time to invest in yourself, like making this call or studying technique or learning how to study technique, like when you go out of the way and just spend a little extra time, even getting one detail can make such a big change in your game. There's so many times that like one detail has saved me hours of mistakes on the mats, right? So like you can show up on the mats and get killed for let's say 20 hours of mat time making a mistake that you don't even know you're making, and you can watch one 10-minute video and fix all of that. So to me, these calls and doing like this notepad and just trying to like seek technique revelation of how I can apply to my game, even at 14 years of jiu-jitsu, and I'm still learning something is amazing to me. So to me, the calls have been awesome, and you guys dedicating your time to make these calls and giving me your input has been awesome as well. So I appreciate you guys doing it. I hope you have a good week, and I'll see some of you on the mats, and everybody else that I won't see on the mats. I hope that it's a good week for you guys. Again, if there's anything else that you have maybe next week that you're like, hey, I would like to dive into this type of content, just contact me at least a day before the call. And that way I can do some research on what video I'm going to pick. And then we'll dive into that video. We'll get people to kind of like see what they take away from it. And then we'll just keep expanding our jiu-jitsu.